I mean, I always say like it was such a gift for me because I was 40 years old when I got The Office, and I'll tell you the good thing about that is I did not talk a lot, and actors usually like look at a script and go like, look at their lines. I stopped counting lines because I realized sometimes I wouldn't talk at all and I would still get a laugh. Like I'd watch the edit and be like, oh my God. So, or my face said what my line was, so they cut the line.
Right.
My face said it already. And then when I did get to talk, I feel like it was always worth the wait because I got to do really specific physical comedy that a lot of the other actors didn't get to do. And I loved doing that. It was such a blast. I did a lot of my own stunts because I was like, hey, it's me. I think it's always funnier when you know it's the actual actor. It doesn't take you out, you know.
But the amount of times they would pan over or like, I think there was one episode where like you got locked in the office after the party or something, or like they would pan over and you would just be there and like just the
With
look
my
you
hand
would have
stuck in my skirt.
in your skirt or like your top off for some reason.
Yeah.
Like,
My parents are so
My
proud.
dad always said to me, if the audience knows you in and out, you can get like 3 or 4 laughs per one line. You know what I mean?
Hilarious.
Like if they say to you, this is $10, it's really cheap, and you go, you know, like I'm a cheap person. $10 is a lot of money. So you can get, if they know you, you can get the audience to be with you.
That's great writing too. That's great writing and trusting that like the process. And I think also just like trusting that ultimately we're taken care of. Because I see a lot of actors who, you know, they have to talk to the writers and they're going to have a meeting and we need to talk about this. And I never fell into that. And I'm actually proud of myself because I feel like I didn't take the bait of like that idea that something's wrong here and we have to fix it. It's like, you know what? I either accept what this is and make the best of what I get. Yeah. Because we all have to be real characters in the office, whether we speak or not. Like you have to be fully fleshed out. You know, I had to, you know, I looked a certain way. Like I didn't get a lot of makeup. I didn't look like the happiest person all the time. But, you know, I also feel like that character was so unapologetic. I wish I was as unapologetic as Meredith. But, you know, my dad owned a bar, so I knew a lot. I knew a Meredith. There was like one Meredith at my dad's bar. She was a little older. But I used to wait on like a few women that were like the one woman at the bar and you'd be like, oh God, you know. Right. So I knew who she, like I know. And I know women that come up to me and say, I'm the Meredith in my office.
You're like,
and I believe them because they are loud and proud.
You're like, no, I wouldn't admit that.
So twofold. I'm sure you've gotten all these questions. Did you watch the Ricky Gervais?
I did.
And also, what was the audition process like?
Well, initially,
was there scripted stuff or did you improv?
It was scripted. No, it was all scripted. I had initially auditioned for the part of Jan. And so I did not, but Allison Jones said, you know, I don't know if this is your part, but I feel like you're right for the show. I did not do the pilot. I ended up replacing somebody from the pilot.
It's funny because I didn't do the pilot and I replaced somebody
from the pilot. He loves to bring this up because there wasn't enough money in the pilot.
I know, right? I mean, it's for many times, it's like, I mean, it's funny. I've only been like fired after a table read once, but I was told like that's a badge of honor. And it was
congratulations. Yeah. When I got fired, my dad said, welcome to the club. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It just happens. And luckily that was for a show that nobody gives a shit about anyway. But but it is like a weird thing. And also when I got replaced, I was like, well, I replaced somebody and I got 9 seasons, so shut up. You know, this is like one episode, whatever. But it is so it had me a little bit on edge season 1 because I was like, oh, if I replace somebody, then I could be replaced if I'm not doing a good enough job.
Right.
And it's,
we've said this before too, but you have a job in the 5th season. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. It's not when they call you. It's not at the table. It's not after the first. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
You really. Exactly. I always knew one of those. When I got fired off of Dave's World, which was the spinoff from Night Court.
Oh, right.
I was like, that's not, like job security, I mean, of course, for me in my mind, I was like, well, they let me go because I should have been older for the part. I was playing a contractor at 22.
Right.
But it showed me that I had to participate. And also I worked with John Lithgow, who I was a small part in Third Rock from the Sun, but he came in gangbusters all the time. So you had to up your level of comedy and determination to stay there. You know?
Sure. But I think that's the thing too, is like figuring out the ensemble and figuring out that you don't need to be like everybody else, but you need to have your place and be strong in your place.
Yeah, and Bonnie and Terry Turner on Third Rock from the Sun, I might have a line here or there. And I loved how you said you counted the lines. I used to count the words per how much money I was getting paid, I mean, it's
hilarious.
a job, right?
But if I did that, I would be the best paid person on The Office, for sure.
I said, is everything going, are you good? I was asking the producers, and Bonnie Turner looked at me and said, David, if we're not talking to you, we love it. And I was like,
That is
okay,
hilarious.
good. You know,
And my boyfriend, the NBC photographer, Chris Haston, he shot
yes,
Third Rock.
and he shot
yes,
us too.
Yes,
I've been shot by him.
yes, you have. But
Yes.
he didn't shoot. He did not shoot. Yeah, he
But
just
there
shot-
was something else. There was
Yeah, he
another
shoot wizards,
one of
but-
the many television shows
Right,
that I've
right.
done. But I've worked with him. He's so sweet.
I met him on The Office. So I always feel like we were like Jim and Pam because we met season 1, but we didn't start dating until the end of season 2. And they put him in the finale. He was like the photographer when they revealed Pam's mural. He had a few lines.
Oh,
And
now
then
I have to
he's
go back
actually
and watch that
he's actually
episode.
dancing with Meredith during Dwight and Angela's wedding when Michael Scott and Dwight are dancing during the credits.
Okay.
Oh, that's so fun.
He's like the super tall guy dancing with.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go home.
Are
and
you
watch
guys
those
doing
tonight.
a rewatch? There's a rewatch out there.
Oh, well,
Will you-
Jenna and Angela have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Office Ladies BFF. Yeah. That's I participate sometimes in that. Yeah.
yeah, that's so
yeah.
fun.
No, it's fun. Yeah. And
Is it-
yeah.
Okay, so when you're watching yourself, when I'm watching myself, and that was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, oh God, what am I going to do? Is that funny? There's every once in a while, I'll remember what's about to happen, but I'm watching it objectively because I don't remember
Right,
everything.
right.
Do you watch it, or have you watched it and you're like,
you know what?
oh, what am I doing? What happened?
So sometimes I need to just do like a proper rewatch because I have not done it yet. But it's like 186
thing.
episodes. It is a little odd.
It's
and I also feel
exhausting.
like it is. And I also like sometimes I recollect like, oh, that story, like my storyline got cut there. I sort of look at a little bit of my disappointment, so I gotta just get over it because it all worked out. Trust me, it's fine. And sometimes less is more. And I think there's something to be said about characters that don't outwear their welcome, and also characters that don't morph into the exposition person.
Yes.
Because then you lose your funny.
Yeah.
So if suddenly you are talking more and you're kind of explaining the plot or whatever, it's like, wait a minute. You're just supposed to come
the
in
worst.
and like, it is, right?
Yeah.
Harper and Jerry had a few of those moments where they'd come in and be like, "What's over there?" and then we disappear. So we definitely had a few exposition episodes.
That was
for
definitely
sure.
and then that's what I thought about doing the show. I was like, oh God, well, one Disney Channel. It was, it was
Right.
an offshoot. It was not Disney Channel back
Sure,
then.
that's
you
right.
know?
You guys were one of the
And
first
I was
mega
like,
breakouts,
I'm
for
going to
sure.
be the dad, and I'm going to be like, don't do that. And at the end, I'm like, I told you so, But there was a lot of setup. I had to explain the spell that we were going to possibly
Right.
mess up in the episode, or so there was a lot of that.
But
kind
you
of,
had such a great
wait, hold on.
persona.
Oh my God.
Seriously. And it's not an easy job what you had to do because we have to be engaged and interested in everything. And you are just so bubbly and wonderful as you are. So I feel like they picked the right person because you can not only could you get away with it, but you kind of took it to its own art because you guys had your own, you had your own vibe about it. But I felt like it didn't seem like we were on a different show all of a sudden
Yeah.
or like you were the morality police
Right.
or whatever that thing that a lot of the parents sometimes can be.
Right.
You were sort of like, I don't know, I just thought you were much more into the comedy.
Well, I think also like Jen describes me in human life as a big kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
and I think Jerry was very much
Absolutely.
like that.
And some dads are. And
Yeah.
I love that they kept that because I think that's the other thing where suddenly there's an us against them thing that when you're watching these kid shows and the parents are really stupid and the kids have all the answers.
Right.
And it's like,
And then it's an
ugh.
us against them. And the
Totally.
actor in the pilot, who's wonderful, but it was very much that sort of parental, patriarchal, like judgmental
Oh,
figure. And
interesting.
the dynamic wasn't the same.
I
It would have been a
didn't-
totally different show.
I did an episode of The Mentalist after Wizards. And, Disney. I do this thing where, Disney doesn't pay you a lot. Disney. But I was doing The Mentalist with the actor who I replaced.
You replaced, wow.
But I didn't. I mean, I knew of him because I had seen the pilot they gave
Yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah.
which I can't fucking find the DVD of.
I
which
know.
is
He
so-
keeps trying to look for it, but
So I'm sitting
I'm sure it
there
exists.
and I'm
Yeah,
complaining
someone bring
about
it to
I'm
David,
complaining to him about Disney doesn't this and Disney that, and he goes like, yeah,
Oh, you
I
really
kind
stepped in it.
of. He's like, I went down that road a little bit with Disney and it didn't really work out, and I was like, oh, okay. And
Oh, you didn't know.
clearly, I didn't know until that moment. I was like, oh my God, that's him. But how
That
isn't
is
that
so crazy.
crazy?
That is so
And-
crazy.
And I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then I was like, I'm going to craft service or whatever I did. I don't know if later he realized, but I realized, and I was like, it was actually a nice eye-opening thing for me because I was lucky enough to do this show and have that experience. And he's a very wonderful actor and has had a wonderful career, and he works all the time. I was very happy that it made me appreciate Wizards.
No, absolutely.
more.
And this is the thing. This is the thing about being an actor. I feel like there's what do they say? Like, how to make an actor complain, give him a job. That's like, and the thing is like, but I feel like I fight against that because I sometimes feel like I'm the attitude police. Like, these are champagne problems,
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah.
No one's standing on one leg. Relax,
Hey, thank you so much for watching this clip of Wizards of Waverly Pod. And for the full episode, go to the Wizards Pod YouTube channel. The link is in the description.
And for exclusive weekly bonus content, join our Patreon now. There's a link in the description for that too. Thanks for watching.
Bye now.